Hello, hello, and welcome to a second SMITE God review / guide. And today we are covering the good old Great Ball of Fire, the guy with two heads, the Siamese twins, the crazy Hindu fire boy, the Fire Nation attacking standard edition Agni, the man with the plan who basically claimed with the game, and well, one of the first gods you actually get access to in the game. So this is Agni. He's a mage, magical damage, pretty cool looking guy, you know. He's got some good skins. Alright, you know what I'm saying? He's got a good look around him. I've only got 2 of his skins. I'm not the biggest Agni player, I will admit it, but I know what I'm doing. I know how to master the gods, man. Yeah, so let's take this somewhere. Let's look at his abilities first. So, first of all, with Combustion, you have a little fire symbol down here somewhere in the bottom left of the screen, okay? So, as you hit your basic attacks, you're charging up your passive, which will give a dot damage over time to your next Flame Wave or Rainfire. That is, Flame Wave or Rainfire. This is very useful. Please take note of that. Please take note of the scaling here. Plus 10% of magical power per tick, and that is 0.5 for 3, which is 6 ticks. Alright, so that is 6 times whatever this is over time. So keep that in mind. Kind of important. Very, very useful passive, actually. So fantastic, simple. Next ability is Noxious Fumes. So this is a ground target. It's a circle. You put it on the ground. Boom, you're done. Alright, now this has a, well, yet again, a tick. So you're doing 10 to 50 plus 5% of magical power. Very low scaling. This ability itself doesn't do much damage. 10 seconds for the flame, 1 second for a stun. If you fire any of his abilities into the fumes, it detonates the gas and stuns them and does additional damage. Keep that in mind. You're doing damage over time, detonating it, you get a stun duration. Also, this ability has a 10-second duration and a 12-second cooldown. So if you want to use this ability to clear minions or to assist with clearing minions, it's actually viable for that. And then you can detonate it right before it ends to make it extra useful. But that is up to your discretion. Next ability is Flame Wave. So Flame Wave is just a line ability. It's a pretty large line ability as well, somewhat short. It ignites Noxious Fumes, as you can see right here. Its scaling is 90 to 290 plus 65% of your magical power, which is pretty good. But the main thing you want to do here is slap down that 1, slap down that 2 right after, and you got a free stun. If you're tricky, you could also incorporate the 3, Path of Flames. This is a line dash ability. But the catch is that you leave flames behind you. So, any enemies passing through will get hurt. This ignites Noxious Fumes as always, and you cannot be knocked back while dashing. Very low scaling this ability. It itself does not do much damage. Very unreasonably high cooldown, I would say. But again, as I said in the last video, cooldowns aren't an issue in this game. You build cooldown reduction. Most god builds incorporate cooldown reductions in general. You know, it's very rare to see somebody not build CDR, so just expect that to be a thing that you do. Next, we got Rainfire, and this is a very interesting ultimate because you actually get 3. So, every 18 seconds, you get an additional ultimate, quote-unquote, a flaming halo, a meteor, a fireball, whatever. So, you put it at a ground target location, and you get 1 every 0.8 seconds, so you get a bit of a delay, but you can pop these off pretty quickly, and they ignite Noxious Fumes. 160 to 300 plus 70% of magical power. So you're saying that doesn't sound like that much damage. And realistically, that's not a whole lot of damage. But if there's a squishy in your way, they're going to die. If there is a poorly built guardian in your way, they are going to die even faster. And that's not including his base magical power at level 20. So let's observe that. So 64 plus 1.5 plus 20%. And then you factor all of that in with his abilities, and you actually get pretty decent scaling on Agni. He's had a long time. He's been here since 2012, I want to say. He's had a minute to be balanced. And he's reasonably balanced, so won't complain about him too much. I don't play him a whole lot. We're not going to go over lore. That's not what this is for. We'll take one last glance at these skins because I think they're pretty damn good. Especially Gemini. I really like this skin. This is a good one. This one's funny. I have the announcer pack for this skin. So, yeah, I don't know why I felt like that was relevant, but I got off on a tangent because I do that. So, let's head into jungle practice and see what we can see with Agni. Okay. So, let's show you the nuances, the tricks, and the tips of our friend Agni. Now, most people recognize, let's get our good friend Neath out here. Neath, come here, bro. Alright. So most people will do something like this, and boom, they'll pop that, get the stun out. Okay, sure. So I'm going to show you an alternative to doing that, because some people will also put the one down and then fire off the ult. What if I told you there was a better way to do it? What if I told you there was an easier way to use that ability? What if, instead of putting down your one first, you fired off your ult and laid down your one secondarily? This is very effective, especially once you get built up and you've snowballed a bit, especially if you stack. You throw down that one underneath your ult already in midair, and if you time it properly, you could actually pop off two of them and throw down your one, not in succession. You do something like this. You fire once, pop this down, fire a second one. You do a good bit of damage already starting off the fight, and I don't have any items, right? So I'm just gonna say that this is this is a good combo. It's a good tip. A lot of people don't know about this. A lot of people don't do this. A lot of people do it the opposite direction, where they put the one down first and follow it with the rain fire. Don't do that. It's just less efficient, and that way they don't get out of the way. It's less predictable, because if you put down noxious fumes, they're gonna know what's up. All right, so really quick, I want to go over something in Joust, because Agni is a little awkward in Joust. The problem with Joust is that it's where a lot of beginners like to go, okay? So if you're not a beginner to the game, and if you are a beginner to the game, Joust is probably going to be the better game mode for you. Conquest is just something most people don't play anyways, actually. The cooldown, the queue times just get longer and longer. So you're going to end up playing most of your games, especially if your friends drag you into this game. You're probably going to be playing mostly Arena or Joust. Maybe even Clash. Clash is actually not bad, but those are the two game modes you're probably going to play the most, if my personal experience is anything to go off of. But here's the issue with Joust, is that the players in Joust are all but unpredictable. In Arena, most people build damage. Even if they're tanks, they'll build extra damage. In Conquest, people like to build a little bit more sustain, more tanky, because they're playing that long game. They don't want to stress themselves over, will I survive the next team fight, and if I do survive the next team fight, will I get back to spawn? So people like to play a little bit more safe-ish in Conquest, which is important. But the problem with Joust is that people like to pub stomp in that game mode. So be very careful going into Joust with Agni, because you're probably going to get pub stomped if you yourself aren't going to do the same. My friends and I have a very good comp that we like to use, very CC heavy, and it includes a Hercules, so you already know that we feel like total trash when we use it, but it's fun. Agni is not included in any of the comps we've ever made. It's just, he is good at locking down areas, he does a lot of damage, he's got CC, but it's just his mobility or his squishiness, man. The guy just doesn't fit in Joust. You can use him in Joust, you know, especially if you're good at him. It's not that he won't work in Joust, I just don't recommend that. I don't think that's his best game mode. Just not by a long shot. So let's see. Let's look at item options, and then we'll go into builds. First one I like to mention is Obsidian Shard. Now, Obby Shard gives you magical power. You ignore 50% of protections, which is pretty damn good. But that's best if you're against, say, 1 or 2, maybe even 3. You know, if you've got a lot of tanky enemies that you're going up against, Obsidian Shard, definitely. If not, it's really not necessary. It's kind of a waste of a weapon slot or an item slot. So if you've got one Guardian on the enemy team and their warrior is DC'd or their warrior is not building magical protections, you're better off playing Agni as a support and using his CC to your advantage. Spirit Robe. Spirit Robe is best used when you're taking too much damage. If you are dying way too fast, Spirit Robe is a good option for almost any god. You get damage mitigation, you get CC you get basically purification beads every 15 seconds. It's good. And that's it. It's just good. It's not anything special. It's not anything incredibly amazing. Spirit Robe is just I need this. Bloodsport Valor, if you're getting damaged physically by a hunter or an assassin and it's rough, you can grab Breastplate. There's no shame in grabbing Breastplate. It's even in the recommended items, alright? Another item people tend to overlook is actually Stone of Fall. But it's actually really, really good. Anytime you would be dealt more than 20% of your max health by a single magical ability, that damage is instead reduced by 10%. So if the Morrigan comes out of her invisibility and hits you with her I think that's her cone, instead of doing most of your health, it's going to do 10%, which is very good. Especially in terms of Scylla, who likes to 100 to 0 people. People should really be building Stone of Fall more often, but as a Scylla player, I'm glad they don't. 10% CDR. In additional. Which, I mean, how is that not useful? This final item is one that I actually don't use much myself. I prefer Spear of Deso, but you've got Spear of Magus. If you find yourself in endgame and you're not doing enough damage to anyone, pick this up. You should feel the remedy. Not right away, but shortly thereafter. So builds. Builds. My Joust build is going to look like... well, let's see. Because I just went over the situationals, which would be Obby, Spirit Robe, Breastplate, Fall, and Spear Magus. But you want to start with Mage's Blessing. If you don't get Puri on Agni, I don't know what you're doing. He is susceptible to crowd control. You really should be getting Puri. And if you're not getting Puri, you need to get Magi's Cloak. Maybe even both. So, yeah. Important. But typically you want to do your Pen Boots. I mean, it's just how you want to start. The alternative would be starting with Warlocks. You can put Warlocks here and build it first so you can get those stacks early, say in Joust or Arena. In Conquest, even. I like to start Boots in Conquest just because of the movement speed and, you know, it's the biggest of the maps. So, I mean, in reality, this is preference, which one you do first. I prefer doing Warlocks first, just to get those stacks going even faster. And my third item I typically build is Book of the Dead, and that is because you get that shield. 20% of maximum mana. You get a lot of base mana here on Agni at level 20. Especially when you build Warlocks and you've got it stacked up, you get a lot of mana. And then you grab Book of the Dead, and you're going to scale even more than you did before, and it's a very, very good situation to be in. Next item, Spirit of Deso. You get CDR, you get Magical Penetration, you get your cooldowns reduced every time you get a kill or an assist. It's just plus 100 magical power. Why would you not build this on Agni, basically? You'll see we've already got it up to 320 here, which is a pretty good number. His basics are decent as well. You could get Polynomicon and make people mad at you. Ethereal Staff. So here's the thing about Agni is that he actually has a little bit more health than other mages, so you have more options in terms of tanky-ish kind of things. Definitely not tanky, but tanky-ish. I have seen tank Agnis, and I oh my god, I have to tell you, it is the most annoying thing you've ever played against because he is unkillable and still does more than decent damage. So do not knock tank Agni. Tank Agni can roll you over, and maybe I'll show you that build if I have it recorded in my shrine. I do recommend the Shrine app, by the way. Maybe I'll leave a link for it for the Play Store. I don't know if it's in the iTunes Store, but it might be the App Store. I'm sure it is. It's fantastic. You've got builds you can store. You've got a randomizer, so you can say, oh, I don't know what god I want to play today. Boom, randomizer. All right, quick plug, that's all. So Ethereal Staff, you get more CDR. Every time you deal damage, you steal 8% maximum mana and 4% maximum health. So here you go with more mana, more mana, more mana. Sounds like Kukulkan. So stats, you basically... Ethereal Staff is like borrowing. You take it from them and you keep it for a while, like almost, 45 seconds. And it has a pretty decent rate, 15 seconds. I mean, it's a good item. I build it on a lot of gods, especially if I build a Damage Emir. I highly recommend trying that out. If you've never built Damage Emir, you are not living. And for a final item, I like to wrap up my Joust build with Rod of Tahuti, because you get 25% additional power against targets below 50%. So you start off your assault of an enemy like this. You run up on that squishy and you cast all your abilities. You really beat the hell out of her. And then you can just hit her with those basics, finish her off. Alright, and she's dead. There you go. You might not have seen the proc, but Rod of Tahuti did proc. It did more damage once she hit less than 50%, especially with that dash. It ticks and did more. This is important. Keep all these things in mind. Now, in terms of relics for Agni, Agni is a squishy boy, alright? Typically speaking. He can be tanky. If you build tank Agni, don't get Aegis. You don't need it. It's a waste of time. If you're going tank Agni, Med Cloak, Shell, Bracer. Maybe Horrific Emblem. But people don't use that too often because there's already a lot of slows in the game, so you don't really need it. So it's these three for tanky. For a normal Agni, you're going to want to probably start Puri Beads and then get Aegis or Bracer. I mean, Sunder's good too, but nobody uses it for a reason. It's got a long cooldown. It's not super useful. It just helps you. It does true damage. You can't protect against Sunder. So that's up to you, though. Very underused item. Maybe for a reason. But, I mean, that's that. So next, I will show the build that I've used in Conquest before. Again, I don't play a lot of Agni, but I play enough. So it used to be in Season 4 you'd start with Sands, but now you'd start with Mage's Blessing and go into Boots. Because while yes, you want to stack with Agni, no, you don't have to. However, if you want to stack in Conquest, and this is just another up to you, I typically go with cooldown boots. I almost typed cooldown boots, but choose a focus. And then go into Book of Thoth. So, once again, you have the prerogative of building book first or shoes first. It is entirely up to you. It is entirely up to your preference and your situation. It really doesn't matter either way. So, definitely keep that in mind. It's not a big deal. Next, I like to grab Doom Orb for the additional mana and the MP5 that you actually get. Of course, you get the magical power, but you get movement speed additional when you get kills, and you get those stacks. This is a good thing. Or, sorry, killing or assisting enemy minions. So you kill the minions, you get faster. It's useful. Good in Arena, too. But the Joust build, the Conquest build, maybe I'll provide an Arena build. Arena's free-for-all, figure out how to build. It's pretty open-ended. Obsidian Shard, once again, this was a situational from the Joust build. I personally see Obsidian Shard being highly useful in Conquest, just considering the amount of people who like to build tank and sustain. I think I went over this in the past video. I might have already gone over it in this video, but people in Conquest like to build sustain. They like to build tanky, even when gods typically aren't. So instead of a Hunbats building full damage, if he goes and plays Conquest, that Hunbats might grab a defensive item or two. And so you're going to want extra penetration. Then, after that, after Obsidian Shard, you've got some options, I guess. This is sort of my mid lane build. I would either go Spear of Magus or Spear of Deso. It just depends on where you all guys are. If you're behind and they're tanky, Spear. If you're ahead, Deso. If you're on par with them, Deso. It's all up to economy. How is your gold pool doing? You know, good or bad? You want to sort of determine that on your own. That's the important part about building. And then, once again, for the final item, you want to round it up with Tahuti. It's just a good item to get for last item. Now, here's the situational items I could recommend, and I'll go over jungle build in a second, arena build, and then I'll probably wrap it up. So for the final item here, we've got Rod of Tahuti, but don't forget about our good friend Soul Reaver. Soul Reaver is very useful and very good as a final item because you deal additional 2% damage, and if they have over 2,000% damage, your ability bonus damage scales up, and that's a maximum of 8% at 2,750, which means you do more damage to tanks. A lot more damage to tanks. Like a lot more damage to tanks. So definitely a good thing to keep in mind. Soul Reaver is a very good optional. So here's the twist to Agni, and it's funny that I would do this after the patch where they added these back in, because I used to do this in season 4, and then season 5 came around and they removed the masks, but they have added the masks back. So let's see if we can find... Okay, never mind, they have not added the masks back and edit that out. So now we're going on to the jungle build. I typically like to start pen boots instead of cooldown boots, because in the jungle you want to be doing as much damage as possible, as fast as possible, which means you're going to be rushing spear. You just start spear as soon as you can, and then you go right into cooldowns. You get this cooldowns, and you get 1 second taken off of your cooldowns every second or for every 10 seconds in the passive, and that doesn't start till you leave Fountain. So I know most of you are fully capable of reading descriptions to yourself, but for some reason it sticks better for some people when other people read it to them, when other people say it. So I'm going to criticize myself on that, but I'm going to keep doing it anyways. So you got Book of the Dead. We went over this earlier. You get that shield for the maximum mana. It's so useful. Just a really good item overall. If you don't build that, I don't know what you're doing with your life. Ethereal Staff, once again, very good. Borrow, quote unquote, your mana and health from enemies for fun. And then, of course, wrap it up with Rod or Soul Reaver, and you've got yourself a jungle build. Pretty good, right? You've got these masks. I like to start Bumbas on... So I'd say Bumbas first, wrap it all up, and then do your final build, replace Bumbas. That's just something I like to do. Should you? Maybe not. But if you're doing a jungle build, you get mobility, which is important, and CDR. And then you get that 50 magical power additional. I could see that being very useful. Now let me double check to see if I have an arena build. And if a dual build is recommended for these videos, I will start providing dual builds. But people that play dual typically know the gods they're playing pretty well, and therefore builds aren't really necessary to be provided. So in that sense, in dual, I have not been providing builds because I feel like it's not necessary. But if you guys want them, I'll provide them. So this is the final build I'm going over for Agni. This is the arena build. So for arena, very basic. You're very open-ended here. You have a lot of options, all right? But Book of the Dead, your pen boots, grab Chronos Pendant, of course. You want cooldowns. You get Obby Shard because you want that penetration against tanks. People like to feel tanky when they play as, say, RTO. Spear of Deso, again, Spear of Desos versus Spear of Magus. It's just, it depends on who's ahead. And even then, it's still up to you. It's always a choice. Rod of Tahuti, again, can be replaced with your Soul Reaver. And here's an item that you've not seen yet. In the arena, this is actually viable on Agni, is Bancroft's Talon. Especially if you build the tank Agni and you go with Bancroft's Talon, you can be doing a ridiculous amount of damage while healing back a ridiculous amount while already being tanky. And the enemy team will actually hate you and probably flame you in post-game chat. And finally, Divine Ruin, 40% reduced healing, great anti-heal. Sometimes I feel like I couldn't live without this item. I really, really don't know if I could sometimes. So for the real final build, for the tank Agni, start Mage's Blessing, more fuel. Start Pen Boots, and here we go. Breastplate of Valor, physical protections, mana, MP5, and cooldown reductions. Delicious, not even a passive, not needed, I mean. Hide of the Urchin. Oh my god, I can't believe I'm saying this, but this is actually very good on him. You get your protections, you get your mana, and it stacks, and you get that shield. It's just... Next, Mantle. Just want to cover up in cloaks? Go for it, dude. more CDR, more protections, and you get that shockwave, CC immunity, and the stun. You can see where this is going. Next, Bancroft's Talon. As mentioned before, additional mana, you get the lifesteal, a lot of power, get good scaling from your missing health. Yeah. So, for this final item in the build, we round it up with Magi's Cloak. Now you're not taking CC, this is a conditional item, not necessarily required. You can switch it out with other things. If you want to be an actual asshole, you can grab more lifesteal in the form of Soul Gem, because you're going to get more health and more CDR. Again, that's entirely up to you. Typhon's Fang is useful. I'm just not sure it really fits Agni's playstyle. You could do a lifesteal Agni, actually, that'd be pretty fun. But, once again, preference. This is the tanky Agni, and he is awful to play against. Just saying, if you want to piss off your enemies, if you want to make your enemies actually hate your guts, tank Agni is the way to go. So, just... And then if you want your health back, oh my god, you still do damage.
Muito bem, menos inimigo.
Honestly, the less said, the better. Alright, the less said about tank Agni, the better. I should not have released this build to the public. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please leave a like and comment if you enjoyed. Give me some criticism. Let me know what I'm doing right. Let me know what I'm doing wrong. If you guys want dual builds, I will provide dual builds. If you guys want demonstrations, actual gameplay, I will provide that as well. Just let me know in the comments section what you want, and it shall be provided to you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.